Well, I remember specifically the first time I think that I remember having an interaction with him was in San Francisco, and I was a new devotee, wasn't initiated, but somehow or other I was able to go on the morning walk. And although I knew that Prabhupada was going to be my spiritual master, I wanted a direct confirmation from him. And so I kept looking at him during the walk, trying to catch his gaze. And every time I did, he would avoid it. And so sometime in the walk, maybe towards the end, probably when I least expected it, Prabhupada planted his cane, stopped, and looked directly at me, right through me. And in that brief, fraction of a second, it was as if I became aware that he was Trikalagya, and that I had absolute faith somehow that he knew who I was in my past. He knew what I was thinking. He knew what the future was going to hold for me, and I felt like this, that he was my spiritual master. It was very impactful. It was very impactful. It was like, it felt like a mystical experience. It was almost within that brief second that my soul traveled with his to the end of time, and that I had like no more questions in my mind, no more doubts ever that I can remember that Prabhupada was, my spiritual master eternally. Prabhupada was coming down into the temple room for Guru Puja and to give Srimad Bhagavatam class. And at that time, all the leaders, all the devotees were there. But during Mangal Artik, the devotees were there, but none of the leaders were there, hardly at all. There was maybe one or two sannyasis there. Most of the sannyasis at that time were GBC men, and they were all meeting in GBC meetings. They weren't coming to Sundar Artik. No one was coming to Sundar Artik, the evening Artik, and hardly anyone was coming to Mangal Artik. So I thought Prabhupada should know this. So I came into Prabhupada's room, offered my obeisances, and I said, Srila Prabhupada, the devotees, the GBC men, are all there for your program, Guru Puja, and for Srimad Bhagavatam class in the morning. But practically none of them are attending Mangal Artik, and none of them are coming to Sundar Artik, evening Artik, and I just felt that you should know. When Prabhupada understood the situation, he basically just said, thank you very much. And he waved his hand, dismissed me. And immediately he called all the GBC in. And he then told them, he ordered them, that from now on your GBC meetings must end, I think it was a half an hour before the evening Artik. All of you must attend the evening Artik. And all of you must attend Mangal Artik from now on also. And I remember the next morning when all the leaders of our movement were there. And as Srila Prabhupada speaks about specifically, I remember a purport in the Bhagavad-gita where Prabhupada talks about how faith is created by the association of devotees. And it just felt so impactful having all the leaders of our movement there during Mangal Artik. I remember feeling this incredible feeling of accomplishment of Srila Prabhupada, that the movement is spread all over the world, and I felt very, very blissful and secure in that. And it also reminded me how one of the main mandates from Srila Prabhupada to the GBC is that they travel to all their temples. I don't know how much it's being done currently, but that they would travel to the temples and give classes and enliven the devotees. While I was in Mayapur attending the festival, I was, at this time I was still temple commander. I was temple commander there for about 4 months, and before and during and a little bit after the festival in 1976. And so we were trying to finish all the rooms for the devotees along the perimeter wall of Mayapur. And there was a huge influx of devotees coming, and I was in anxiety because I was a new temple commander. I didn't speak the language there, and we were behind schedule in getting the rooms ready. And of course, these are Prabhupada's devotees from around the world who are doing so much service. They deserve to come to Mayapur. I know Prabhupada wanted them to have very nice facility, so they felt very taken care of. And so, because as Prabhupada said, that Mayapur is our home. So in that mood, I was trying to get every person who came a little early. Some devotees came a little bit early for the festival. So I was trying to engage them, especially able-bodied devotees, in helping get the rooms ready for the other devotees. So I was in a little bit of a passionate mode. And I remember one specific incident of a devotee who had come, and he was a black-bodied devotee. He was very stout, seemed very strong. And I believe he would take morning prasadam, but then he would disappear for the rest of the day. And he'd go into where the banana patch was, and he'd just chant Hare Krishna all day long. And I approached him and asked him if he would help. And he said, he's just in Mayapur just to chant Hare Krishna, and that's it. So that rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. And being temple commander and having that responsibility, I was frustrated, and I thought maybe that would set a precedent for other devotees. So I approached Srila Prabhupada at that time. I had pretty much the ability, carte blanche, to enter Srila Prabhupada's room. And even when I did, it was only for, what I considered important things to ask Srila Prabhupada. I didn't want to bother him. But this time I thought it necessary, and so I entered Srila Prabhupada's room, offered my obeisances. And Srila Prabhupada was sitting there chanting japa. And so he was chanting japa, and I came in, offered my obeisance, and I said, Srila Prabhupada, I need to ask you something. And he, still fingering his beads, he turned towards me and he said, yes. I said, Srila Prabhupada, we're trying to get the rooms ready on the perimeter wall for all the devotees who are coming, and we're behind schedule. And so I'm trying to get every single devotee who's coming early who can to help us out. And there's one devotee in particular that's really frustrating me because he won't do any service. And he simply goes to the banana patch, and all day long, all he does is chant Hare Krishna. He won't do any service. And so Prabhupada was lightly, softly chanting as I was telling him this. His face a little bit turned away to me. And then when I finished saying he won't do any service, he stopped and he looked at me with a very grave look, and he said, so, you think chanting Hare Krishna is not service? He said, that is the greatest service. And his eyes rolled back, and he moved his head to the side, and I immediately felt like about a half inch big. I felt so humiliated, and I simply offered my obeisance and said, yes, thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Left the room and got what I consider one of the greatest personal instructions from my spiritual master to this day. And, Prabhupada was so expert, and as you hear the memories of so many other devotees, because he's in direct connection with Krishna all the time, it was so unpredictable to know what he was going to say in any given situation. And to another devotee in the same situation, he may give a completely different instruction, but he knew that was exactly what I needed to hear. And it was a very, I feel it's a very important instruction, a very, very vivid remembrance of that pastime with Prabhupada. I think the thing that impressed me most about Srila Prabhupada, because there's 26 qualities of a pure devotee, and it's actually really hard for me to just focus on one, but remembering those times when I was with Srila Prabhupada, and remembering also how Srila Prabhupada told us that his purpose in creating the International Society for Krishna Consciousness was to create men of perfect character. So I think that quality, in my mind, really exemplifies Srila Prabhupada, because his character was so perfect that even if you didn't hear Prabhupada speak, just his hand gesture or his facial expression The way he dealt with everything was so perfect, and so, so many qualities embodied those interactions between Prabhupada and others, such as his humility, peacefulness, freedom from anger, and his his perfect timing in how he would do things and say things. That seems, in my mind, sums up more than anything the quality that I remember most about Srila Prabhupada, that he had this perfect character. Je anilo premadana karuna prachu